No freaking way. Hey, what's up y'all? We're back with another action figure review. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Harvinger Studios Collegiate Legends. These figures came out of absolute nowhere. I had no idea these figures exist, and I'm super glad I got a hold of them. And if you're not familiar with Harvinger Studios, me neither, but what I heard is that they started off doing custom heads. They do have a website where they sell stuff like that. Eventually they moved on to making arms, and then they started making joints, and then next thing you know, they got a whole line going. This is the same company that bought us the Savage Crucible Kickstarter like 1 or 2 years ago, and I enjoy those figures. I did support the line. I grabbed me 2 of those figures, but this action figure line, I don't know where they came up with the idea to do this, but it was much needed. Like, I never knew when I would get it, but I always knew I wanted some action figures of some football generic characters. This line is what put Harvinger Studios on the map for me. Such a versatile catalog, and man, this year we've been getting such good figures, and the best part of all of it, the best ones have been affordable. You know, thinking back, it was so weird and random how I came across these figures. Through any of my channels, I have not been exposed to them. No one else mentioned these figures, and I saw a video from Jay Hernandez. Shout outs to Jay. Saw these figures and I was blown away. I am not personally into watching football that much, but I mean, I do a lot of stop motion, and I think when it comes to stop motion or just like some random photo taking, depending on your shots, if you like to get creative, you want to have figures like this in your collection. I would call them generic common folk or something, you know, like public officials, people who work for like public service, police, firemen, stuff like that. And this would take it back to like, I don't know, like the high school days. So I definitely had to get my hands on them. And like, just looking at these figures, they really look awesome. The only gripe I would have, I mean, I don't know if maybe the uniforms have changed and now they've gotten more futuristic. This was some type of licensing thing. I mean, because I thought these figures were official, and it's actually a plastic type of material too. It is reflective. As you can see, there is a face sculpted under it. Man, these details on these helmets look so cool. Like, they look really, really nice. I can't even make out what that is supposed to be right there. It looks a little bit more clear on the box, but yeah, you can see the ribs on the straps, a lot of detail right there. And as I mentioned, it does have a nice little flex to it, so you don't have to worry about dropping and popping it off. But I was thinking I might remove maybe this clear part. Looks like you would need, I don't know, maybe an X-Acto knife, something like that. There was no particular reason why I chose, this is South Carolina's Gamecock. I don't even know what a Gamecock is, but no particular reason why I chose that. I was just looking at the many different assortments of figures and selection teams that they have online. And I thought this palette looked really very natural. It looked really cool. I liked the palette. Yeah, I bought it, and I had to buy 2, of course. You know, you gotta have at least 2 of them, right? The one thing that surprised me was if you own any of these, so yeah, there are just a little bit of some scratching going on, some issues I had been noticing around the shirt and just all over the body, really. But I mean, it's not horrible. I'm just hoping it don't get much worse. But you could also see some texturing too. I'm actually just noticing that, and it looks like it's just on the bottom of the pants, maybe? I don't know, but I do like the wrinkles right there. I can't tell if there's any shading or if there's a color underneath that white. It almost looks like it. And I do like the silhouette, just the overall shape of the frame, the styling. The arms seem to kind of flare out a little bit, and you can kind of notice that too on the dark version. But as you can see, he does have a face sculpt under there too, and it looks like they might be the same face sculpt. I could be wrong with that. Yeah, he's got a lot of quality rub and all that too. So yeah, the sculpt work looks really, really nice. Looks like there's some green and that brown right there for his skin tone. I think the plastic for the skin tones came out really nice as well. Texturing on the shoes, like they put a lot of detail into these. Other than the way these figures look, the one thing that I thought was super crazy was how they did the shirts, how they designed the jerseys. They did a crazy job with these. I don't know what plastic, I don't know the CM2V30 B100, I don't know, man, but this plastic they use for the jerseys is wonderful. It is, as I mentioned, it is rubbing a little bit, so I'm not sure what to do about that. But as far as how the plastic moves, it actually looks like there is another, I don't know, it might be some padding under that shirt, but I keep thinking that there's another joint, like there's a top and a middle part for his torso, but you don't want to try to bend that. Maybe that's how I got these rubs on it. But other than that, like the way these figures move and the plastic is just, they took these jerseys as far as they could go. Like, it is super impressive. I really like how these figures came out. So yeah, other than the quality control issues, these figures are gorgeous. Excellent execution. I'd add maybe a matte spray around the limbs, but I'm gonna give these figures a 9 for their look. For the accessories, so each version comes with the same accessories, so I'm not going to bring everything out, but as you can see, they come with quite an assortment of different hand options. I really love that. Hey, you know that thing where companies will give you one special hand for only one side? Yeah, Harvinger Studios didn't do that. You get a football for each side of the hand. Like, that's what I call foresight. I am very much so appreciative of that, because now you can have some fun with it. You don't have to stick to a certain side. The hands all do have a flex to it. It's got a little bit of sculpt work too. They did a particularly good job for the way they did the football. You don't see any logos on it, but that's alright. The texturing looks good. That sculpt work, man, it looks freaking spot on. Now you have a generic football you can use for everything else. So here you get 3 different footballs with their accessories, and I think the only thing that would have really set this accessory off is if they put a hole at the bottom of it, so you can kind of have it in air and have it in motion. But as it is, it's still pretty cool. And then you get these grass mat type of stands. So I don't think it's one of those collect to build type of things, because you got the black trim around the edges, but you can put them side by side if you want, and they hold the figure up pretty good. I do like the green and the yellow paint applications for the highlights, and it's a pretty sturdy stand. So yeah, cool accessory. I think if we got a smoke effect accessory for this price point, that would be marvelous, but they say I shouldn't be greedy, so I'm gonna give them a 9.5 for the accessory. For the articulation, so this is the part of the figure that actually gets a little bit more interesting. So you would think looking at him, he doesn't get that much movement in certain areas, but there are a couple points that are going to surprise the hell out of you. It did for me. Like, look how much he can get going upwards. That is magical right there. Like, I really love what they did with the neck joint. They even gave us a butterfly joint at the shoulders. That is nice, and you can get some pretty decent movement right there. It does get a little tight, but the plastic doesn't really hinder it that much. You can almost get a pretty decent arms folded motion, but that neck and head range is where it's really at, man. You get all sorts of attitude with that helmet. Man, they did a really good job with this. Even at the arms, which is not hindered by that plastic, you can get that arm basically all the way around. They are doing a great job with this line so far. I really love the engineering for these figures. You got those Marvel Legends double joints at the elbow, standard up and down movement for the wrist, and I want to talk about this torso real quick. So I don't know if they could have really gave it more range without making it 2 different separate pieces. Well, honestly, you probably could. I mean, but they gave us what they gave us, and I think for the look, the overall look, I think it's done fairly nicely. But that's not going to stop me from trying to take it apart and seeing if I can get some more range out of it. And I would say a lot of this figure's charm actually comes from when you get him in hand and you're moving him around and stuff. Like, he feels really good to touch. They feel really sturdy. I would say they feel better than most of your Marvel Legends. They don't have that gummy feel to it. The joints aren't super soft and bendy, and they get double points for the fact they consciously didn't put that cut all the way through the pad and it goes behind it. That's a beautiful turnout right there. I really enjoy that. And shout outs to the hip department for that leg range. You could leave work early today. They got some good range at those knees too. Nice little joints right there. Nice curve right there. That's lovely. This figure also shines at his ankles. He gets some nice up and down motion. I'm going to appreciate that very much so. And you know how some companies have put out figures that could accommodate for a boot or ankle swivel and don't do it? Yeah, Harvinger Studios didn't do that. That is an awesome rotation right there. For the most part, it's pretty flush, but I really appreciate that. He's got a hard piece at the torso, and there's a smidget of a flex for the diaper piece. For your size comparisons, I didn't really have any other sports themed figures to line them both against, so I just chose some random things. Here we have them next to your SH Figuarts Black Bill figure, your generic figure from a figure toys company, your Storm Arena Ken Masters, and your crazy figure female body. And I hope next Harvinger Studios gives us some generic hockey players. I think that'd be pretty rad. Which sports genre would y'all want them to do next? And lastly, here we have them next to who I think is your PW Toys Logan, your Storm Collectibles Golden Axe skeleton figure, a Kit Bash using the Marvel Legends body, and your Kotobuki as a model kit. And I just want to show some quick love to the box. It's classy, elegant, stylish. I mean, I would understand if you wanted to just keep these figures in a box. They did a really cool job with the package. So final thoughts on the Harvinger Studios Collegiate Legends figures. If I haven't made it clear before, you definitely should get your hands on it, even if you're just interested in these figures slightly, because I guarantee you once these sell out, that prices is going to skyrocket. Like, these are one of a kind type of figures you can pose. Really, you could just damn near put them in one pose and treat it like a statue with the stand they provided. The quality of the paint job for this figure, I would say, is the weak point, but as far as those joints, man, they move just like butter. And what they did for that jersey, man, that's top notch, fantastic. I'm gonna have to give him a 7.9 for the quality. For the articulation, there's not really much I would complain about. Of course, you know that torso, I would have wanted just a little bit more range. Man, that would have set this figure on fire. But what he has, he's got some really solid movement, so I'm gonna give him a 9 for his articulation. Please don't ask if I recommend these figures. Final score, I'm gonna give them an 8.9. Alright y'all, that's the video. I'd love a like. If not, I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.